This is Just Win Bets, baby, on the Sports Bet Winning Network.
Joining us today is a man who transitioned from the high-stakes environment of the courtroom to the fast-paced world of sports betting. He is a premier betting analyst for SportsLine and a featured voice for CBS Sports, where he hosts the Early Edge and the Early Wedge, known as the Counselor of Cash. He has built a reputation for his disciplined analytical approach to the PGA golf and NFL player props. Please welcome our good friend, Sia Nejad. Sia, how you doing, my friend?
I am really good because, first of all, you guys are awesome. And this intro is very professional, and I really appreciate that. I see all the Washington Commanders skin stuff behind you, which is really cool because you all know, I guess we're all kind of from the same area here, rooting for the same team for a few decades now. So very happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I rarely bring this out, but it's one of my favorite hats. You know, one of the old, I'm old school, man.
Was that 17?
Yeah, that's 17. I got 21 somewhere. Yeah, here it is.
17 was like, if I had to pick one, it would be 17.
Yeah.
Doug Williams.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. This is the Doug Williams one. This is the Doug
22.
Williams.
My bad.
Yeah. And then I got the Buffalo somewhere. The Buffalo one somewhere. But yeah. We should have won 4, but they were drunk against the Raiders.
That was bad. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Well, good to have you, my friend. And let's get started here. I'll throw out the first pitch, so to speak. Is you spent years as a trial attorney before becoming a full-time sports analyst. What is one of the skill from the courtroom that has been most surprisingly useful when trying to beat the Vegas odd makers?
Well, that's interesting. I will say that the useful skill with what I do from a TV standpoint is just like the standard trial skills, right? If you're in front of a jury and you can do that, and you can probably be in front of a camera as well. So I knew that would translate. I guess when you're practicing law, to actually answer your question, you do have to be hyper analytical. You have to look at all sides of things. And I think when people say that, they're like, oh, well, yeah, like I look at all sides of things too. But the way they teach you to do it in law school is just a little bit different. It really just opens your eyes to ensuring that you can make arguments across the entire spectrum. And so I think my cultivation of that through 3 years of law school and then practicing law really kind of gave me, don't get me wrong, I was already betting back then. But it gave me the confidence, I think, to really dig deep and be comfortable with, hey, this is going to be my approach. I have carved out my own way of looking at things. It's going to be my approach. It's going to be hyper analytical, hyper micro in some cases. And that's just going to be my approach, and I'm going to stick with it.
That's great.
Yeah. Translating. Too bad Kalshi wasn't around back then. You could probably vote or bet against your own trial or something like that, or on your own trial.
Yeah, that's funny. So I haven't messed around with Kalshi personally. I'm just old school standard sports books, but can you do that as well? Because there are trials and Supreme Court rulings that are I'm sure you can bet against or whatever, bet on what the Supreme Court's going to do at a big ruling and things like that. That's crazy. That is crazy.
You can bet on anything on that site. It's crazy. I saw one where it was Trump's last speech. It was over under of how many times he'll say China, and it was at 4 or 4.5. So
take the over.
Saying China, then your bet hit. I was like, I mean, this is just ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, that is crazy stuff.
Yeah, man.
All right, so we've seen a mass explosion in your popularity of player props. As someone who specializes in these markets, do you think there's an edge for the average bettor is getting smaller as the books get smarter, or is there still massive blind spots that they aren't seeing?
I wouldn't say there's blind spots, but I would say that there's definitely softer markets. When it comes to the sports I bet the most are golf, and which I do think is still kind of soft-ish because books aren't paying as much attention to golf, although it is gaining popularity from a betting standpoint. I think when it comes to the NFL, we know the sides and the totals are just going to be super sharp. And if they're not sharp at opening, they're going to be sharp because of how the big bettors are going to bet them throughout the week. So I think the player prop market in the NFL is still pretty soft. I don't think it's a blind spot for the books, but I do think relative to a lot of the betting markets, there's so much opportunity with NFL player props. I've actually been pretty good over the last 3 years. I've been positive over the last 3 years. 1 year really positive in the player prop department. And when it came to sides and totals, and I don't bet a lot of totals anyway, but when it came to sides, I was not profitable. And I just think that kind of tells the story. There's a lot of opportunity. There's so many player props you can choose from. How could it possibly be hyper efficient like it is with a side or a total in one of 16 games of an NFL week? So yeah, I think player props are really where it's at.
Yeah, and like you said, those sides, especially for NFL games, they are super sharp, especially the closer you get to kickoff, as you stated. And you see that with those big sports where there's lots of money putting on. Joe the Fan over there, he specializes in soccer, and some of those EPL lines, man, are the same way because they get huge movement over there in Europe, right? So it's those sports where they get sees that all the action. It's super sharp.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially with the World Cup, that's just. It's less than a month away, pretty much. And I'm very excited for that. And but just looking at the market and the team, you shouldn't. If you're wanting to bet on soccer right now, you shouldn't look at the team, the country teams yet, because the roster hasn't been finalized because of the clubs. You got the English Premier League, you got La Liga, you got Bundesliga, Serie A. I mean, the list goes on and on. But you shouldn't look at it yet. You could probably predict, okay, maybe US goes into the round 16 or 32 or what have you. But it's too much of a math, and that's what we are. We're math, guys, and we're computer science guys and stuff like that. But it's too early to predict.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I don't know how you do soccer. I shouldn't say it that way. There are some sports, and I host shows where you all probably know if you see some of my shows, there's soccer guys on my shows all the time. And I can see, I don't try to pretend when it comes to two sports. One is soccer and the other one is hockey. Because if you try to pretend through those sports, you will expose yourself so fast and just lose all credibility whatsoever. Now, the NBA, NFL, PGA, baseball, I've been watching those for so many years. And some I really have deep dived from a betting standpoint. So I can do all of that stuff. But soccer, for whatever reason, I'm just not dialed, and I don't even try to pretend. I really don't.
I don't either. I leave that to him.
Yeah.
we both do football and stuff like that, but he does soccer and I do NHL. But yeah, I'm with you on soccer. I can't get a read on that at all.
Which, by the way, I was a little disappointed in my partner there because he went on VSiN, as VSiN,
of course,
with our good friend Dustin Twiddleson, and he was bragging about me, and he was talking. He went 3-1 in his hockey. He was talking about the first round series, and he's like, "Yeah, Joe the Fan, he's 85% right now after the first 11 weeks of MLS." I'm like, "Dude, you're killing it." And then he jinxed me. I went 1-3, my worst ever that season. And then I went 2-2 last week. Actually, I bounced back last week because it was a midweek there, Shano. So 2-1. So I'll send you the bill later. Oh man, we're with our good friend Sia. And again, you can follow our friend Sia at Sia, and you can see it right there below, Sia Nejad, and it's SIANEJAD. You spoke about some golf, so let's dive a little bit into that, my friend. You had a legendary success with first-round leader picks in golf. What is your secret sauce for the specific market? Are you looking more at early morning weather conditions, or is it purely a numbers-based statistical model?
I would say with me in almost everything, it's a combination of a lot of things. I'm never going to fully rely on a model. A lot of one of the websites I use where you can model as well is Rick Run Good, where I can kind of, I mentioned the word micro earlier, where I can kind of see all of the strokes gain data from round to round, tournament to tournament. And for the record, I think watching golf really impacts how you should bet golf as well. Because if you're not watching it, you're just relying on statistics. Some of those statistics can sometimes be the strokes gain metrics can sometimes be a little misleading. So it's just a combination of things. You mentioned morning tee times. Yeah, typically that's the case. Although today, as a good example, day one of the PGA Championship, you didn't necessarily want early morning guys. Typically you do, but this morning, the wind, it was pretty much what it was going to be in the afternoon as well. The exception, though, was this morning, it was when the first guys got out, it was pretty cold. And so I didn't necessarily want guys going out early in the morning. But to your point, I'm looking for guys who can spike in a round. It doesn't have to be guys that's always spike in the first round. Because if you can spike in a round, you can spike in any round, obviously. When I say spike, I mean guys who are picking up strokes on the field. Who are those guys that can just go low. They're just pin seeking. They're not playing tentative. They don't play tentative. They just try to go for the lowest number. And if they end up bombing, so be it. They're trying to go 5-6 under any given round. So I'm looking for those guys. I'm looking for guys that are trending in good form, but maybe haven't hit their ceiling from a good form standpoint. Like, let's say it's approach and putting course. Maybe they're trending on approach, but the model's not showing that they're like crushing it on approach because they're just not there yet. They just haven't hit the highest part of their trajectory yet, or what I think their trajectory could be. So I'm looking at all the strokes gain data. I'm looking at the tee times and the wind and those types of conditions. And specifically, I'm looking at guys who typically can go low on any given round. It's the same concept as you might if you play DFS Showdown. You are hunting for those guys. And for the record, you're not going to take like a lot of those guys are 25-1 in the first round leader market, or 30-1. Like, those aren't really like the sexy numbers I'm looking for. In the first round leader market, you're looking for a guy who isn't necessarily going to win the tournament, can splash for 18 holes. And so a lot of those times it's that second, third, fourth tier of golfer that can get hot for a round and that you can hit from, 80, 70, 50-1.
Yeah, so speaking of the PGA Championship, I'm just looking at the leaderboard now. I hadn't a chance to look at it yet today. But I see there's 7 guys tied for first right now with that -3.
All at 3 under, yeah.
And then you have another 7 or so that have a -2. Who'd you like going into this, like to win this thing?
So I had two primary outrights that were like on the shorter odds of things. And then I had 2 what I would call like kind of on the sprinkle side, like long shot-ish. The long shot guys were Patrick Cantlay at around 53-1 and Adam Scott at 75-1. Cantlay was okay today. I think he was even par, so he was only a few shots back. Scott, predictably on a Thursday, he's never really good for some reason, so I think he's 2 over par. But the 2 primary ones were the 2 hottest guys in 2026. I hate to be boring about it, but I did hit Cam Young 2 weeks ago. I took him again at what was the number I got for him? 15. Oh, I think it was actually 16-1 on Cam Young. And then I got Matt Fitzpatrick at 23-1. If I didn't see how Fitz ended his round, but I think he's even par, and I think Cam Young is 1 over. So there's a lot of guys to pass, but only 1 or 4 shots back of the lead. Granted, I think Scheffler is tied for the lead, so that's something. But yeah, they're in contention for sure.
Yeah, I just looked it up for you. Fitzpatrick is even through day 1. So yeah, I was just like, man, it's close. I know this this course like is usually I think the total par is 70 for this course they're on, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so usually a lot of unders, but -3, then it's like a huge amount of people tied.
Yeah, and you notice like nobody went super low. I will say a lot of guys that are even par, 1 over par, they just didn't have like the best putting performances. Like Fitzpatrick could have birdied the first 3 holes. I mean, he literally could be tied for the lead. You could say that about a lot of golfers. I'm just using him as an example, but I think this is the type of tournament, especially because guys like Fitzpatrick, Cam Young, other names that are lesser names that are only, they might be in 40th place, but they're like 3 strokes back, and Scotty Scheffler's in the lead. So with all of that said, I do think there's some opportunity for some longer odds guys. Not that you asked this question, but for some longer odds guys to maybe just quickly rise up the leaderboard. And then, of course, you're hoping that Scotty Scheffler has a bad day with the putter or with the approach. But the good news is these days you can just go ahead and do the without Scotty Scheffler market if you want, even with the live plays. So that's an option as well. But I do think there's some opportunity for guys to just get hot with the putter and really chase down that 3 under lead tomorrow.
Yeah, still a lot of people still in it. So it's still it's still up for grabs for anybody for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So we're with our good friend Sia. And Sia, I got to ask you this question here. The betting world can be a roller coaster. I mean, we've gone through it. Obviously, you've gone through it throughout your career betting, where there's high of highs and low of lows. So given your analytical background, how do you manage the psychological side of a losing streak without letting like the composure kind of get to you or in your process?
It's really not easy. As you guys know, it's really, really not easy. I've had plenty of bad losing streaks and plenty of incredible winning streaks. I think when you do it for long enough and you get people to understand that you are giving them your best plays and that there's analysis behind it. Like there's not a play I'll ever give out where I don't put analysis behind it. And usually you guys know I'm on a bunch of shows where I have an opportunity to give like a 2-3 minute or usually maybe sometimes 30-second, 60-second analysis behind the pick. So if you're doing that for long enough, whether it's on a show or whether it's on Twitter or somebody, you might have a Discord or whatever the case may be. If you're doing that long enough and you're actually putting your analysis behind the pick, I think what you have to hang your hat on during losing streaks is that the people see that the people see that not only are you making the pick and that you have analysis behind it, but your analysis is very digestible. It's very understandable. It sounds sharp to people that otherwise might not think of things in a sharp way, at least from a betting standpoint. So if you can hang your hat on the fact that you're giving people the proper information and that you've been doing it long enough, then when you have a losing streak, you escape the notion of, oh, they must think I'm terrible. And and some people are going to be like that because that's not everybody's going to be satisfied. So there's going to be some antagonists in this whole process, but you escape that notion of oh, I'm terrible. People think I'm terrible at this. And you buy into the notion that like, oh no, I've been doing this a long time. I'm putting my analysis behind the pick. People understand where I'm coming from, and they understand that like, even though they look at me for picks, I'm going to have losing streaks as well. And so obviously long-term, you're hoping the winning streaks outweigh the losing streaks. But I feel like if you do it long enough, maybe that's 2 years, maybe that's 3 years, but if as long as you're putting the analysis behind the pick and that people appreciate the analysis, I feel like that's what can kind of get you through the losing streak. Like, hey, this will pass. They trust me. They trust my analysis.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like, we're very open about that too. And like, because we give bets as well, obviously. So like, when we put our bets out there, and we're very like, transparent, and we want like our record out there. Like we use like right now we're using Pickett to like track our bets to make sure so like we don't try to hide anything, because like there's a lot of people, especially like on X, like on Twitter, where like you see these guys like, I'm on like a 50-game winning streak. I'm like, no, you're not. There's no way. You're hiding something back there, right?
Right.
So I'll give you an example from the NFL season too. I mean, I'm not having like the best golf season in terms of like my round matchups are usually like what I hang my hat on. They're not terrible, but like it wasn't what it was last season. But in the NFL, so my bets are tracked on SportsLine with the major sports. They're tracked on SportsLine. In the NFL, I've been profitable on player props 2 years in a row. And in the prior year, not only was I profitable, I was the number one player prop guy in SportsLine in the NFL, which honestly surprised even me because we got a lot of talented people over there. Sure. So I roll into this last year, as in 2025 season, and I started off kind of shaky. I don't remember exactly, but it was like through 2 weeks, it was like, I don't know, I'm ballparking it like 4-7, like not great at all. Right.
Yeah.
And then at some point within the first 4 or 5 weeks, I went on an 8-pick losing streak, like 8-pick losing streak. I'm pretty sure it was 8. It was either 7 or 8, but it was whatever it was definitely a streak. And I was like, gosh, like, I'm coming off a really good season, and all of a sudden it's just like, I can't buy a bucket. Now, some of that, you know what happens in sports. Sometimes it's like an injury that like screws you over, but certainly some of those were on me, and they were just like, it's just bets maybe I shouldn't have made. And I got through it. And it's like, there's nothing you can do, right? Like you are doing this, and you can tweak the process. If your process sucks, you can tweak your process and all of that. I just kind of stuck with it. And then to close the season, oh, by the way, I won 13 of my last 14. And the one that I lost was a Keenan Allen under 17.5 yards longest reception. He caught one reception that game on a scrambled throw from Justin Herbert, and he caught it for 18 yards. Oh, so I could have won 14 in a row. The point is like the winning streaks are going to come, the losing streaks are going to come, and everything in between. You're going to have the shaky weeks where you're 4-6 or you're 1-3, and then you're going to have like the 3-2s and the 4-3s, and it's this is a sport. Like this whole gambling thing, it's a sport. You just have to like put your head down and just go through it like you would in any other sport.
Absolutely. And I'm going to guess, I know you mentioned player props, but I'm going to guess, since you brought up last season in the NFL, and this killed us. It was either, let me mention the two games. It was either the Jets Tampa Bay game, or here's the killer, the the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. I had the Rams plus 3.5, I believe, or 2.5.
Oh my gosh, the blocked field goal.
Blocked field goal. I went to the bathroom. And you can see the setup here. We got, TVs all over the place. I was like, oh, hey, look, they're setting it up. Let me just get ready for, the 4:00 games. I come back. I was like, what the hell just happened? And I think that was the same week as the Tampa Bay Jets. Am I right there, Shano?
Yeah, it was the Jets. It was Tampa Bay versus somebody. I can't remember who.
Yeah,
Tampa
Bay.
It was a blocked field goal again that game too. That screwed us too.
Maybe the Jags. I don't know. It was a blocked field goal. I was like, holy cow! What are we?
But to go along with your point too, sometimes like we started off the NFL season last year a little shaky as well. But like we were telling like our subscribers and fans, it's like analytics, the more data you have, the better. So as the season went on, you build up more data, you get more data points, it goes into your model, and you got more of a base that you can make your picks off of, which I think helps as well.
It's totally true. But I think there's something to be said for the unpredictability and the lack of information we have in the first few weeks. And I haven't mastered how to approach that yet. But what I mean by that is, with that lack of data, we might be losing early on. So I think there's and I don't have the answer yet. But what are we doing that is causing us to lose early? Like, in other words, when we don't have the data, what are we doing that we can maybe correct going into the next year? Are we leaning on the favorites too much? Are we, from a prop standpoint, do we think we know too much about who's wide receiver 1 and who's wide receiver 2 and how the backfield is going to be split up? And I do know, now that I'm thinking about it, there were times where I thought I knew what a backfield split was going to be in week 1, in week 2, or week 3, and same at the receiver position. And I was just kind of wrong about it. Now, there were some that I was right about as well, but I do think there's something to be said for, okay, well, we're going to wait to get the information and to be really good week 4 through, the playoffs. But what can we do in the first few weeks to buck the trend, to be on the other side of the trend that we're establishing early? I think that's something that's really interesting going into this next season.
Yeah, no,
for sure. Totally. Yeah. And like what you said with the lack of analytics at the beginning, and it doesn't help when so many teams don't play anybody in the preseason. So you really don't get any of those leans, really, unless you have like a super insider going in there, like a beat reporter that's been watching stuff or whatever. One example, that came up to me a lot last year for player props and killed me a couple times, is I kept thinking Trayvon Henderson for the Patriots was going to eventually take over more roles for Stevenson. And then that never really played out the way everybody thought it was going to, especially in fantasy. I had him in fantasy because I thought he was eventually going to take over that starting role, but that never really happened.
Well, so a lot of the analysis there, and it's correct, is, okay, well, what's the investment draft wise? If I invest, what was he, a second round pick or early second round pick, Trevion? I'm trying to remember, but
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
So if you're going to do that at the running back position, it leads you to believe that at least you're getting a split, maybe not week 1, but at least you're getting a split, come week 3, week 4, week 5, especially if you're not thinking Ramondre Stevenson is some super dynamic running back, which I don't think anybody thinks. So again, those are the things we take for granted. We're like, all right, well, they invested in that draft pick. Ramondre Stevenson has the fumble issues. All of that is very sound logic. But then what we don't realize is that they don't trust. So we're all thinking, oh, well, they don't trust Ramondre Stevenson, so they're going to trust this rookie because they put second round capital in him. And it's like, well, it turns out they don't trust Trevion more than they don't trust Ramondre Stevenson. And it's partly because he's a rookie, but those are the things we're not actually hearing in camp as much as maybe we need to.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. We're with our good friend Sia Nejad, and again, you can follow him on X. You can see it right there below. It's SIANEJAD. And you can always catch our good friend here on the early Edge and the early Wedge on CBS SportsLine. So before we let you go, we got to leave you with these last 2 questions. We'll start with the since we're all Washington, and it's like DMV represent, right? We had our good friend Ree Kuhn, who is actually who covers MMA. He's a author of Fightnomics, who's in the area where we're at. Cool. So a lot of people around here. But we got, the schedule came out. Shannon's going to share a little bit of it, of the schedule of Washington's coming out there. Wanted to get your take on it. I know it's still early. We do have a couple Thursday night games, but Shano, let's go with the first 4 games there. We know that Washington is traveling across the pond to see my chaps and my mentor, Nigel Seeley, in England. But what else? Who do they start off with? Philadelphia, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Skins have, I think, a tough first 4 weeks here. They play on the road in Philly, on the road in Dallas, and then home against Seattle, and then in London, like you said, against the Colts. And
so it's not just the first 4 weeks, though, because you see what seems like a respite a little bit, home against the Giants. And the Giants will be decent. They're not going to be like a walkover. Right. But then they got to go to San Francisco. Yeah. And then they get their bye week. And then they get Philly at home. And then the Rams, who I think are going to win the Super Bowl, at home. And then they go to New York. I mean, first of all, we're kind of done with the days where there's 5 easy games on your schedule. You look at everybody's schedule, for the most part, it's hard. But the fact that Washington has to play the NFC West in particular, and some of these games early, listen, I think Washington is going to be obviously better than last year, as long
Sure.
as Jaden Daniels is healthy. But the defense is definitely looks to be improved with the free agency stuff and the draft and whatnot. But I mean, if it doesn't go right, you're looking at like after the bye week, through week 9, that's 8 games that you played. It could be like not very good. And there's the opportunity to bounce back later in the season.
Right.
But because later in the season, I see some games like at Tennessee, at Arizona. Sorry, I just completely hijacked because you just wanted to go through week.
No. Go ahead.
But I'm seeing this for the first time, just
Right.
like you guys did for like
Right.
10 minutes ago. And it's just like, gosh, this is not the schedule. You want it to be reversed, in my opinion, create the momentum and have that good start. Like they gotta manage to win some of these games early, because otherwise it's going to look like a lost season early.
Not only that, I'll fire the first shot here and say 2-6, maybe 3-5 on a good day.
3 and
but
5.
I think DQ is gone.
Yeah, it's
now,
possible.
My concern, I didn't mean to cut you off, Sia. My concern is the offensive line. 3 out of the 5 guys is a big concern. You have the rookie center that they've drafted, but I don't know, man. I mean, they did get rid of Biotic in the offseason there, but you have Tunsil. I'm with you on that, and a couple beef up front, but I don't know. That's the offensive line is my concern. I'm not really worried about the weapons. Sure, we're probably going to get Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers when he gets cut. I'm not concerned about that. I'm talking about the offensive line, because if you don't have an O-line, you're pretty much done.
Yeah, and we don't exactly know how the defensive line is going to look. It's going to be a new look defensive line. We don't know how that's going to look. I think 3 and 5 is, I think you can dig out of 3 and 5 with the rest of the schedule that they have. So if they're even moderately healthy and they're 3 and 5, I actually think that's not a disaster, because that could look like 7 and 7 real quick. And then all of a sudden you still have 3 games left and you got a real shot to make the playoffs at that point.
Yeah, and you're playing San Fran week 6. Typically, you want to play San Fran later in the year because they always get injured, right?
And that San Francisco game, guys, is that a Monday night or that's a prime time game, correct?
Yeah, it's Monday night game.
Monday night game.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
So I mean, let's just put it this way.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No. Go ahead. Yes.
So you got to play Philly and Dallas, the 2 best teams, maybe except for Washington. Well, you can make that argument about Dallas. 2 best teams in the NFC East. And then there's 4 teams in the NFC West, as we know. And the one team that's left out in the first 9 weeks of the season is the bad one. So you have to play the Eagles twice before week 9. You have to play Dallas at Dallas. You have to play the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. Right. And that's all before week 9.
Yeah.
Before week 10.
You don't play Arizona until later. Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can't tell me there's I already think that's the hardest first half of a schedule.
It's a brutal schedule, that first half.
Without even seeing any other team.
Yeah, it's a brutal schedule there, that first half, for sure.
And you had mentioned the second half of the season there, where they have, of course, Jacksonville, not in this order, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Arizona, as I mentioned earlier. And then, of course, you would have to play Dallas later on, since you already played them early in the first 8-9 games there. So I don't know, man.
So just because we were talking about it, I looked it up on DraftKings.
Yeah.
DraftKings has the over-under total at 7.5.
It's been at 7.5 since those lines opened.
Yep.
And I remember, by the way, so what is the over? What's the juice on the over that you see?
Minus 120.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it might have been minus 125 when it opened.
Yeah.
But looking at this schedule, because I loved the over. I even went on Twitter and said something like right away. I was like, I like the over here. I didn't bet it. I just said I liked it.
Sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't hate it, but they're going to need to be healthy in this back stretch to get there, because you're right. There's a lot of winnable games on the back stretch, and Houston's going to be tough because they're always tough. At least they get them at home. But Arizona, Tennessee, we'll see about Cincinnati, Minnesota. What's going on at the quarterback position? Where's Jacksonville in week 17? I'm not sure. I'm not a big Trevor or Jacksonville guy. Dallas at home. You can win 5 of those games real easily. Yeah. But you can't be 2-8 going into them, Yeah,
you got to be at least 3-5 those first 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be, for sure. Did you like the Sonny Styles pick?
I did.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a big Bobby Wagner guy, but like that ship obviously sailed. I actually met Bobby Wagner because obviously he was living in this area.
Sure.
He lived in the same building I lived in when I moved here from Fort Lauderdale a couple of years ago.
Oh, great.
Can I just tell you, that's like the nicest man of all time. Like we weren't like boys. Like I wish, you know what I mean? Like you want to like treat celebrities with some caution. You don't want to be that guy, right? But every time I had tiny conversations with him, guy could not have been nicer. And the type of nice where they're not just like nice, they're like truly nice. They're making eye contact with you. They're giving you the positive, like listening gestures and stuff like that. It's just a really cool guy. But I mean, we needed help at that position. We needed help at a lot of positions. I thought we did a lot of that in free agency, but I did not want a receiver at that position.
Yeah.
We need help on the interior and at linebacker and a lot of other places, but like we need a captain of the ship. And I think Sonny Styles is one of those guys that we could look back on if he stays healthy, just like you could say about anybody else. And we could see him as a Ray Lewis type, like that type of leader.
Yeah, when he was getting comped to like Brian Urlacher, and I was like, I'll take that all day, right?
Yeah.
I'll take that all day. If he's with us for a decade and has that type of career, that'd be great. I mean, because similar athleticism, they both played safety and started off at safety in college, moved to linebacker later in the college career. That was it. I either wanted him or Downs, and unfortunately, Downs went to the Cowboys, so now he's dead to me.
Yeah, exactly. Now we hate Downs, as it turns out. I think if you're talking about, so I know the league wants to like make Jaden Daniels a face of the league.
Sure.
That's obvious, right? And they should. But I love that we have a face on offense, and I think we have a face on defense. Like we're like truly great guy. People want to be around this guy. He's like very presentable people and just like really good football players. I don't think every team has like captains on both sides. Not that he's a captain, you know what I mean though. Like captains of the ship on both sides that are just like very forward facing, like great football players, great guys. And I think both of those guys are for Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I totally agree.
Yeah, we wish them both the very best in their careers. We're with our good friend Sia, but before we let you go, we definitely want to honor your time and we appreciate you coming on. Could you talk a little bit about, I don't know if you cover the league or not, as we refer to it as the association, but with since you're a DMV guy like us, the Sards, I don't really call them the Wizards, to be honest. I'm old school with the Bullets.
Bullets.
Yeah, the Bullets. They're giving the number one pick. Now they have, of course, AD on there. They've got the Trey Young. Do you, since Milwaukee is, hey, we want to trade, do you get a Giannis or do you go with the BYU rookie there? Either way, I mean, that's huge. Your thoughts?
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Is the Buck stuff, like is the Giannis stuff, is that like an actual thing, or are we just kind of like hypothesizing here? Like, has that actually been talked about in a real way?
I've read numerous reports that they want to trade Giannis. Now, I think Giannis has something in there in his contract. And now I ain't going to Washington, or I ain't going to Sacramento, or whatever it is. But there is reports that Milwaukee wants to trade him. Yes.
Yeah, no, I knew that, but I just didn't know if it was associated with Washington necessarily.
No.
But
okay. I misunderstood your question. I apologize.
Yeah, with all that said, though, no, I don't think they would end up doing that. I think DeBonsa, again, I assume that's who they end up drafting. There are a couple other guys maybe in the mix, and who knows? Like, I know DeBonsa might want to stay in Utah, and like that's kind of a weird dynamic. But if DeBonsa is extremely talented. I mean, I don't throw around the word generational, but. And I'm not going to here necessarily, but he is a bona fide number one pick. And I don't think you can say that in just any draft. Wemby, bona fide number one pick. But they have so much young talent, and then they have the veteran talent. I don't know about Trey Young. Like, I don't know where I stand on Trey Young. I think he can absolutely help the offense, spread the offense out a little bit, make it look a little Golden State style. But with him and Anthony Davis, I think what people aren't appreciating is they see those big names. They see AJ DeBonsa. But like Keyshawn George is really, really good. Alex Sarr is really a solid. He's not a dynamic generational player, but he's a really solid player. To me, if you have this lineup together, and I'm not even mentioning like the Bilals and the Trey Johnsons, there's plenty of other more depth on the team. But if you have this type of core on your team for the next 2 or 3 years, which may be asking a lot in AD's case, I think this is a team that next year absolutely could be a 5 or a 6 seed. Could be. And I think the year after that, as they grow together and as people start to realize, oh, Keyshawn George is like really good, and some of these other young guys are really good and growing together, it's not out of the question, especially with AJ DeBonsa on the team as well, that in 2 years, this is a 2 or a 3 seed. I know that sounds crazy coming from a Wizards fan. I do not think that's out of the question. We've got talent, veteran talent, and then we've got a lot of young talent.
So you're saying we might win 50 games for the first time in my life?
I mean, it's been a while. Even with Wall and Beal, even with Gilbert Arenas, it was just like a struggle to get out of the first round. It's like this. I do think they're building something that, we got the OKC guy over here helping us build. I think we're building something that it's at least OKC light. It's not OKC, but it's OKC light now.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Well, Sia, thanks for joining us, man. It was a blast talking some sports with you.
This is great.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I've seen you before. I think you did have being completely transparent with you. I think you did have, I think about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, give or take, our good friend or my mentor, Nigel Seeley, on your show once. I think you were talking soccer and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but I don't remember exactly which show, but I do remember obviously you being the host. So, but yeah, I enjoy, your work and stuff like that you do, but I wanted to give you an opportunity where our audience can kind of not only follow you, and you folks, you can see it right there below, but where else could they, catch you?
So yeah, I put a lot of my stuff on Twitter. So at Sia Nejad, you'll see me retweet a bunch of stuff. But I do a lot of my stuff at SportsLine. But you can catch like the shows; they're all free shows on the SportsLine YouTube channel, just like the Just Win Bets Baby YouTube channel. We've got one for SportsLine where I do my morning show, Early Edge, and a bunch of other like specialty shows. Sometimes we do like live MLB shows and stuff like that. I do want to say it's probably worth mentioning that I don't only do sports stuff in betting related content. I do some motivational work as well. And if there was a YouTube page to follow outside of maybe SportsLine and this one that I'm on right now, Sia Nejad Positive Works. So my name and then Positive Works after it is my YouTube channel that focuses on interviews and motivational type issues and career building type issues. I just did 2 over the last few weeks that I think are like really helpful to people. The whole point of those interviews is to basically inspire people to not abandon what they have, but maybe chase down some of their dreams that they've just been putting off and been telling themselves that they can't do it or they're too old to do something or something like that. That's the point of that channel. So if you want to find me in a non-sports context, you can find me there, Positive Works, Sia Nejad. But otherwise, just follow me on Twitter and you'll see all of my stuff at SportsLine and some of the other places like Betting News Network. I do some sports related pop culture type stuff shows there as well.
Yeah,
nice. You just gained a subscriber. Yeah. I didn't know you had the Positive Works. I subscribed.
Yeah, no. I definitely want to do that, and
appreciate that.
Hopefully, yeah, absolutely. So, Sia, thank you very much for your time, and good luck with not only the golf and the upcoming NFL picks, but with everything that you do.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. This was really fun. And one of these days, I'm not like a big drinker. I don't get out much because I'm so busy with family and whatever. But one of these days, we'll meet up in Tyson's or somewhere in Northern Virginia, whatever, where you guys are, and we'll hang out for a couple of hours.
If they ever build that casino in Tyson's.
Are they doing that? Is that a thing?
It keeps getting scrapped, so I don't think it is. But
I don't think that's I wish they would. Thing. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I just see the signs every once in a while, like no casino. Right. And I don't care. I don't need a casino here. Right. My casino is sports betting. Like that.
There you go. There you go. And I tell you what, we'll take you up on that deal, but one condition: first round's on me.
I accept.
Okay, there you go. Well, good seeing you, my friend. And of course, when we return, we will have, of course, our best bets for the night right here on Just Win Bets, baby.